All right, Barbara Walters.
I mean,
Or Diane Sawyer. Or who we channeling? Connie Chung?
yeah, I think I want to do Diane Keaton today.
Ooh.
Welcome to the latest episode of Authenticated with your host, Kate McLeod. I am intrigued by people. People watching, I love. People learning, that's where I'm insatiably curious. I'm interested in the why and how of the creative mind's pattern of thinking, the subtext to the creative thinker, or in its more conscious and malleable form, the creative conscious. Because when you are so clear on yourself via the triad of consciousnesses, then you become reflective to others. Meeting yourself is an infectious practice because what feels good is infectious and something I think we could all use a good dose of. So join me in conversations with a diverse arsenal of creative thinkers, from artists to entrepreneurs to serial thinkers ready to optimize their creative conscious. With me, self-made and self-proclaimed creative entrepreneur. Sounds hot, right?
Melissa, I'm so happy to have you here.
Oh, we can curse?
We can
That's
curse all we
exciting.
want.
Hi, Kate. How the are you?
I'm great. This is Melissa Crespo. She is a fabulous, fabulous director in theater and also in film, as we recently learned.
Ooh.
It's going to be in all the things as we continue forward.
Yeah.
But do you want to tell a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I am a theater maker, but now I'm a filmmaker, so I have to figure out something new to say.
There's a hybrid word there somewhere.
True.
Yeah.
I like your email sig, which says creative entrepreneur,
Yeah.
which I might steal.
Yeah,
someday.
no, please do. I want everyone to have it. Because I feel like I am super powerful now.
You should, as
Thank
we
you.
all should.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm mostly direct, but I'm also the associate artistic director at Syracuse Stage. So I'm also a producer, and I've been writing a lot more lately. I'm so shy about saying that. I don't know why, but we're getting there. We're healing. We're going.
Yeah.
Sometimes I teach. Otherwise, I pretty much make all my money in the arts.
Yeah.
So that's me.
But I think that's what creative entrepreneurship is
Totally.
now. I think it's just like the all-encompassing thing of like, I also don't think that as like humans anymore, that we are creatively satiated by one realm of just like one channel of creativity anymore. And also I don't think that we can sustain ourselves by being that.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that's changing
Mhm.
because it used to be you pick a thing and you do that
And you
thing.
never say you do anything else.
Yeah, it's like I was told to stay in my lane when I was in grad school, and I'm glad I didn't listen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, multiple streams of income. I mean, come on. Like, how are we going to survive?
Yeah, exactly. And also to think about one thing forever just kind of sounds daunting to me.
Yeah, it sounds boring.
Sounds really, really boring. No, but you should take creative entrepreneur. I see that for you.
I know.
Yes.
Okay, great.
But also I feel like too, when you like venture into things like writing and you expand out into producing, that is when you actually really start to understand even like directing more or acting more or whatever it might be, because it's like that's a different angle to look back into your own like creative genius, but then also to look at others too and appreciate theirs.
I mean, yeah, that's when I got a liberal arts degree in undergrad, and we were supposed to learn every job in the theater and beyond, because you're supposed to know how every job works. Funnily enough, I am assistant stage managing at Lincoln Center. I am not right now. I am not a stage manager, but long story, we won't go into it. But it was necessary, and you know what? Why not?
Why not?
I get to hold Holland Taylor's hand every night, and you know what? It's my honor.
It is your honor and your joy. Wait, that is so fun though.
Yeah, it's really funny.
What does that feel like when you jump into a role that you know so well and that you work with, but you get to do it as yourself? What does that feel like?
It's funny because it's humbling because it gives me greater appreciation when I'm directing for, the rest of the team, because I can't do my job without stage managers.
Yeah.
And it was really cool to see the other side, that backstage that I haven't been for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And also kind of a relief because, as creative people who are supposed to drive the bus, often I love being told what to do sometimes. I love it not all being on my shoulders every once in a while. That's why I do Orange Theory now, because I'm like, I don't want to direct this exercise moment. and I just want to let go.
No, I do the same thing at the gym. I'm like, I have a circuit. I need you to choose what the music is, and I need you to choose what I'm doing.
And if I'm doing it wrong, tell me, because
help me.
It's just so.
I'm preserving this body.
Yeah, I think about people like the geniuses in the world who like wear the same clothing or eat the same thing. It's like they're preserving their creative output for the things that really matter, and I get it now.
Wait, that's so interesting, because a lot of that is rooted in decision fatigue, where people are like, I don't want to do that, but your job is literally to make decisions as a director.
It's exhausting.
So I love that you brought that up, because one of my questions that I had for you today was, where is your space for expansion? Like, where do you make space for yourself? And it sounds like this one was just kind of given to you.
Yeah. So the bad answer is I often don't make space for myself, but I'm learning that I need to, or else I won't be creative.
Yeah.
And so I just came back from a 2-week vacation.
Yes, you did.
Which I've never taken in my life. I haven't had a real vacation in 3 years.
Wow.
I often work 6 to 7 days a week. And it wasn't until my mom looked at me in the eye recently and was like, I'm worried about you. And I was like, why? I'm doing great. She was like, you work too much, and for what? And when I took stock of everything, I was like, oh, you're right. Yeah. I kind of some days hate what I'm doing, which is really sad.
That's not how you want to feel about your passion.
Yeah, it's not. And it's also not healthy.
No.
And so, and you start to get resentful of the way you're living your life. And I'm like, wait, but I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
And so took a break, was very disciplined about it. So often I still answer email, and I did not. Game changer. When we were landing the plane in Hawaii, I started looking at email, and I was like, oh, no, we can't do this. How am I going to prevent myself from doing this? I made it so the badge number on the app, on the mail app, didn't show. So, because my instinct is if I see a number, I'm going to look at it.
Yeah, same.
And I turned it off. And so every time I open my phone for like a text message, or my camera was really what I used it for, I was like, no emails today.
So yeah, that is such a smart hack. I didn't know that feature existed.
Oh yeah.
So that's great. So you're forced to like make space for yourself. Mm-hmm. And I want to say earlier, I know I said that someone gave you the stage manager, stage assist, or sorry, what was
ASM?
ASM,
whatever.
But I know no one gave it to you. You earned it. I just wanted to say that.
Oh
again.
Yeah,
of course. But so you have that where the universe kind of gives you an opportunity to do what it is that you need to do that's best for yourself. But then you also go on a vacation. Mm-hmm. So between those two, when you give yourself space for your brain to like, I guess, recalibrate and maybe heal from being on all the time.
Yeah.
What happened?
Oh my goodness. I literally stopped feeling pain in my body.
Woof.
Yeah. And everything quieted. Often there's a lot of noise, and it's hard to be creative when there's a lot of noise. Because I am essentially a creative person by nature, where I wake up in the morning and that's what I think about. I think about making things like that. And the minute I stop doing that, I it's time to take a break or leave the business. Yeah, I really needed it. Mm-hmm. I could have had another week.
Yeah.
But now I feel in a great way, I know where the priorities are.
Yeah.
Like I know, okay. And I also just turned 40 last year. I'm about to be 41.
Big congratulations.
Thank you. And, I think midlife it's very meaningful. I don't know what it means to feel a certain age. I think, we are how old as we feel ourselves, but it's like, oh, I'm at that midpoint where I've got like another 40 really good years left if I play my cards right. How do I want to spend the rest of my time on this earth? What is really important to me? And I think just filtering out the needed things.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I think that makes sense to me. I think what we forget and what we're not taught in school is that even though we are making art, we are still the art, and the art that we make is a reflection of the art on the inside, which is why I think it's so important to do things like to take care of yourself, because if you're not, then like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I often get asked these questions, especially by young people, by like students in undergrad, because I often teach at the university level, and
that's how we met.
That is how we met, and I always feel very guilty when they ask me, "How do you make time?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't. All I do is work," and that's just not a good example.
No.
So I need to start setting an example.
Yeah,
and just being a happier person.
Yeah, no, but it also sounds like what you get to take home from going on that trip is that now you can turn that feature on and off when you need to.
Yeah, and I actually told myself that I'm going to start doing 2 weeks every year if I can.
Oof.
Minimum a week, but
minimum a week.
The 2 weeks is like after the first week, I was like, we have another week. I was like, because I'm not ready to leave.
You're like, I'm staying here forever.
I was really excited to come home.
Yeah,
and I was excited to open my email. I was excited to go into the projects I have coming up and just re-engage with the world. And I think that that's big.
What did that renewed energy feel like?
It felt exciting for the first time in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I also think, COVID taught us to pause, but we quickly forgot.
Yeah.
And also because the industry is suffering quite a bit, just financially.
Oh, in all the ways, I think.
The strike also impacted film. I think we're all trying to compensate for those deficits.
Yeah.
And we're all kind of going back into bad habits.
Yeah.
At least I'm noticing. I can't speak for other people, but
no, I'm noticing that too. But that's actually what a lot of Me3, that platform, is about. It's about figuring out what kind of human you are as a creative, how your creative brain works in a way that doesn't work like anyone else, but then also how do you create the space in the industry that desperately needs it for you to be your own you. Like, how is that possible? Because it's just like school's an antiquated system. It takes too long to fix things internally. So sometimes it's like, I meet a lot of young people who come out. I don't know who got the memo, but at some point, everyone and their mom was like, "Oh, you graduated, creative, or like your BFA." There's this woman named Kate McLeod. You should definitely hit her up and ask for a coffee.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, I don't need any more coffee. But no, now it's like, it was the impetus to like make a platform for it. You know what I mean? But it's like, it's an antiquated system, so it's not a lot of what is new and fresh and actually teaches you how to get in. It's adjuncts like you that like really give people that power.
Aww.
But also in the industry has been going this way for so long. Yeah. There's no system in place that works for X amount of years, then will continue to work for anything. Everything has an expiration date, I think is my point. So I think that a lot of people should be inventing more of their creative entrepreneurship and more of their spaces in the industry, because then when you create something that is so uniquely you and it services you and it works for you, the offshoot of that helps a lot of other people.
Yeah, I look at movements like We See White Theater after the social reckoning that we had in 2020. And in addition to the pandemic, there was a lot of overcorrecting. And it's hard because I agree that we can't have, it's not sustainable to have a 6-day work week, particularly with Mondays being dark. Like, it's like if your partner does not, or your family even is not having the same schedule, you never see each other. It's hard to have kids. This industry does not support any kind of caregiving, whether you want to be a parent or if you have an elder that you have to take care of. It's, any kind of change takes a long time. Like, how do you think we got the 9 to 5, like or like ending child labor?
Yeah,
like there were strikes, there were a period of unrest, and now we're going back to adding those hours in. But because we have to raise the funds and the money to, equity costs money
a lot,
is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
and and ultimately that labor falls to people that can do it because, oh, you don't have kids, so you have more time, but it's like, oh, but that's my, whatever reason you have for your lifestyle, you shouldn't have to pay in other ways for that.
Yeah.
It's a longer thing, but yeah, I think, I mean, it's a bigger discussion about how the arts isn't really valued in this country anyway.
Yeah.
But I'm eager for different forms like film and TV and theater, or even just like concerts or sports. Like, I think we need to be combining and borrowing from each other.
Yeah.
Because the world has changed so significantly that you have to innovate or you're basically going to shrivel up and people aren't going to come see you anymore.
No. Well, because there's not going to be anything to see. It's not sustainable.
Yeah. And so I'm eager for, I mean, hearing you talk about your platform is so exciting because I think it encourages that kind of multilateral thinking. I think we need to start thinking outside of the box.
We do.
Which is why when you asked me to do your film last year, I was kind of terrified because I've only done film with a crew once. And I almost said no. I think I told you that.
Yeah, you did tell me that. And that always kind of took me by surprise. So for context, Melissa and I did Opt-in, an AI trilogy, which is a micro short trilogy that I wrote, oh my God, like a year ago.
Wow.
But you know what's crazy about that is I was super scared. You were super scared. We did it anyway.
We did.
And every single festival that series got into, it took first or second place.
It did.
Yeah.
And our beautiful, wonderful DP, James, loved us and we loved him. And it really worked out.
And it was just fun. And I remember afterwards, it shocked me and also made me proud, but mostly shocked me. The thank you emails after.
Yeah.
Being like.
Doesn't surprise me.
Well, like, yeah, like I've never been on a set like this. And I'm like, excuse me, I've seen your resume. What do you mean you've never been on a set like this? But what they meant was just the collaborative nature of this, but I also know that you being an ASM means that next time you have one, you're going to trust them to do their job more.
Yeah.
Because you understand their job more. And I think that was the magic on our set was, yes, we all have our roles. Yes, we all understand some stuff, but you're in charge of your own lane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had strep throat during the whole thing.
Oh, yeah, you did.
It's like, imagine if I wasn't sick, how even better it would have gone. Oh my God. Yeah. But I was like, why are you scared? I often, because I need to know everything. I learned this from one of those like personality tests I had to do at my theater where like we all had to take it and you learn your strengths and weaknesses and then you learn your coworkers and you learn how each person has to work. It was actually pretty cool. And so I learned that I'm an information gatherer because I can't do things unless I know about them. Yeah. Which is total Virgo. I was going
to say.
Come on.
Is it your season?
Yeah, it is. Virgo season has arrived. Everybody celebrate. Beyonce and I are waiting for your gifts. But yeah, and so what I did, like I always do, I downloaded a class and a book and then Jodie Foster was the one who was like, you know how to do this, because I did one of her master classes.
Oh, I've seen that. I really want to do that.
And I was like, oh, I'm going to be fine. Because I'm like, I am a director.
Yeah.
But I also, you trusted me and you're my friend, but, I want to do well for you. Because I remember what it's like to write something and you give it to someone else and you're like, well, don't let me down.
Please don't let me down. No, I felt secure the whole time. But that is interesting, though, because I feel like there are like 26 pillars in Me3, but one of them is to reevaluate what fear is and how the definition is relative to the definer. And I find a lot, like I'm an information gatherer too, where I'm like, well, I have all the information. So if I have all the information, then I can't get it wrong.
Basically.
And it's like, well, then what really is wrong and what really doesn't mean to have the information? And Kate, how often do you actually trust the opinions of others? So do you really need all of this stuff like clouding your brain? Like, why not just like jump in and figure it out?
Yeah.
But we were easeful the whole time. We were chilling.
We were. It was pretty easy. And but I also think that's why we have a lot in common and we get along so well.
I think so too.
Because we're very similar.
Yeah.
Because we're hustlers.
Yeah.
And even if you don't know the answer, you'll figure it out
Mm-hmm.
and do it to the best of your ability. And like, that's all that matters.
Yeah. Well, I think also that's the trust in ourselves to be capable.
Yeah.
Which is a very hard skill to acquire. I feel like I got it in my 30s. And I was like, you cannot disturb my peace. That's
how I felt when I turned 30.
Yeah.
Everything, all the noise kind of went away.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I don't have to be as scared. What am I so scared about?
Yeah.
And now with 40, it was like, okay, girl, now you have the information, like just do it.
Just do it. Yeah. So what do you want to do next? What's like the big thing that you're thinking about? You get whatever you want.
If I'm being really real, I want to be on Broadway.
Yeah.
And I think that is an actual real possibility.
It is.
The way things are going in the past year since I've come back to the city. I want to do more film.
Mm-hmm.
And that started with you, which was really cool because I literally said to someone, I want to do film. And then you like called me a month later and I was like, ooh, I got to be careful what I put out in the universe.
Oh my gosh. That's literally a thought I had the other day where I was like, I had to be really careful with what I am saying I want and what I'm manifesting because it is happening. I love that.
Yeah. I also want to be a parent.
Yeah.
Very badly.
You'll be a really good one.
Oh, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's going to happen. And I used to think I can't do both just because of the needs of the business, but there's no reason for that. Mm-hmm. It's, again, getting out of my own way.
Yeah. How do you put down the boundaries? How do you just like decide? Well, like where does your confidence like translate in that way? Especially because you are a director, so you offer that creative thought and those through lines for other people all the time to be like, your job is literally make this make sense. Here's the writing, here's the actor, here are all the other elements in the theater. Make it make sense. And oh my God, does it make sense when you do it on stage?
Yeah. Parenting or Broadway or both?
Whichever one you feel more drawn to.
Okay. I think I was pretty angry for a while about the arts because I was really broke for a long time and you need money to do this business. Yeah. This business is for people who have money and have financial support because it allows you to take more opportunities.
To bet on yourself.
And just angry at the industry because it's really hard. Like, I'm working other jobs that have nothing to do with theater.
And that you don't want to be doing, I'm assuming.
Yeah. But I've also been very, very fortunate with all of the amazing people that have helped me along the way and that have encouraged me, have mentored me, have opened doors for me. And then it's up to me to, walk through it and show up. And so, which is honestly how I got to where I am today.
Yeah.
Because I don't believe in luck. I believe it's preparation meeting opportunity. It's like, if you're ready when that doorbell rings and you're not ready to answer the door, then that's on you.
Yeah. I mean, there will always be someone else ringing your doorbell, but if you want to get there as quickly as possible, you need to be ready when the doorbell rings. Exactly.
And so, and my mom has been pretty significant in that journey because she's always told me, you can do whatever you want. She's always been in my corner. She's the first person I call when something good happens or something bad happens. She's the one who's like, have a baby, we'll help you. You don't need a man. Let's do it. We'll do it. She's just so optimistic. That's just her nature. She's just a light, and it's that example that has really helped me.
Yeah.
Get out of my own way. Or sometimes she'll be like, why are you scared?
Yeah.
Just do it.
Is it her voice that comes in your head?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's
for
amazing.
good, for better or worse.
No, but there's always that one voice that sticks there.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I recently told her, she told me something mundane about something. Cause even like stand up straight or, like, when I was a kid, cause I was pretty tall early on. She's like, don't stand up straight, don't hunch, be proud of being tall. and she said something to me and I was like, Mom, you are in my head already. You already did your job. And she just started cracking up.
It's like, it's already there.
We're good.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a similar moment when I realized I said something and I went, I'm my father. Oh my God. Like it was my voice, but like, I know where that came from.
Yeah.
It happens. Those people that, especially because I feel very blessed as well to have family who's always like, no, like we don't know what you're saying 60% of the time, but we believe in you, and I'm like, yeah, like lean into my delusion, lean into it. It's called being intentionally delusional. It's that like magic you have as a kid, I think.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, yeah, I can do it. And also I think I decided recently too, that it just doesn't have to be hard.
And if it is, that's okay.
Yeah.
Because I've recently learned a wonderful saying that I've carried with me. Opposition is information. So if something's not working in some whatever way,
Yeah.
professionally or personally, you gather. Remember, information gather. That's us.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. I have that, and now I know what to do in the future.
Yeah.
And not everything has to be so negative.
No, because there's a huge another pillar in Me3 is deciding, where it's just like you just decide, and like that term is whatever it is to you as it is to me, but you can just decide. And it takes forever to arrive there. If you would have told me 10 years ago I would be anything other than an actor, you'd find me in the corner of the room crying. And I would be like, no, that's my dream. If I don't do this, I failed. But that's not true, because now I feel so like way more fulfilled than I've ever felt in my entire life. I love reading scripts. I love producing. I love writing. I love inventing whatever I want to creatively. I love bringing people together, and I love meeting more people. Mm-hmm. Everyone. What is your approach to networking? If that's the word that even fits.
No, I know. I don't think of it as networking anymore. I used to when I was a lot younger. And this is what I tell the youngins.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't be transactional.
Correct.
So that when you're meeting others, it is about really getting to know someone. I just feel like with networking, it's like, oh, and now I know you, and what can you give me?
Yeah.
And I think that can be pretty harmful.
It's also a put off.
Yeah. And I don't think it's ever, or I shouldn't say ever. Most of the time it's not intentional. But where when you think of a network like a net, it's almost like a force field of people that you have in your corner, and just in case. But for now, they're there, and it's really lovely. Kind of like, I don't know, I'm feeling a little woo-woo today, but like a halo of like comfort. That's kind of how I think about it, because I don't want to compete with you. There's just the world to compete with. It's exhausting.
Yeah. Also, there is no such thing as competition, because you and I could spend the rest of the next 40 years, you trying to be me and me trying to be you.
Yeah.
And it's just not going to work. But I love that visual that you just gave of a network like a net, because all I think about there is anything a net carries has distributive weight. It doesn't have all the weight in one place. And that's nice, because I remember it and I experience it now, where you meet someone and they just think that you're the answer. And it's like, no, I'm not your answer. I'm my own answer. You're going to be your answer, but I'm glad we know each other. And like, it's more chill than I thought it was when I was younger.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's really nice to be able to meet someone, you vibe, you support them in their journey or not. Like not everyone is for everyone. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Like I think nets also filter out the stuff that doesn't belong there.
Things fall through.
Yeah, which is not always a bad thing.
Yeah.
And so it's because it's like, oh, I love giving other people jobs. I love it. It's part of the thing I love about being a director.
Mm-hmm.
When I get to bring my team together of designers, of actors, of just everyone, and give them a job, but also know that I'm tagging them as a teammate. You know, like I think that that's fun. Or if I can't take a job, because I can't take every job, I say, hey, I can't do it, or that's not right for me, but I know who is. And that to me is really beautiful.
And that to me rings as your frequency, loving giving people jobs, which means, and I believe that whatever frequency you put out is the frequency you receive. It's an instruction manual, right? Like you only get to know Kate if Kate tells you how to know Kate. And so it feels like the universe offers you back constant networking then.
Yeah. And I've been modeled that by wonderful people. Mm-hmm. Like Sarah Rule is a big example. I've known her over 20 years. And she's often called like the theater godmother, because she's constantly throwing lifelines to people, and there's no ego and in that regard, and she's just very giving. And so having someone like that in my life to model that, who is incredibly talented and doesn't have to do that at all, but continues to, I think that's been a really good example.
That's really beautiful to hear. What's the saying, when the tide rises, all ships rise, or when the tide, something like that. Like
I haven't heard that, but I like it.
Yeah, I like it. And that's also my thing too, is like, I think you should amplify other people. I think you should help people in your circuit, or like in your network, because it also speaks to you. It speaks to them. And also I want to see other people succeed. It would be no fun if I was the only one doing it.
Yeah. It'd be really lonely.
Be really lonely.
And that's not why we do the arts.
No, it's all about community, and that's like such a big inherent part. Something you said earlier about letting people get to know you. Mm-hmm. I think there was a good opportunity there when we first started working together in grad school. Mm-hmm. You directed Last Days of Judas Iscariot. Mm-hmm. But because when I came in, I had like, I think it was one line in the entire play. It was, I had the opportunity to be like, okay, well then what's my approach to this? And how do I come in as Kate and say, because I have no other, like I have some information, right? But I'm like, I want to come in and be like, well then you know what? Like, because I'm not pessimistic. I'm like, everything works out in my favor. I know this. And so I show up and I'm like, and I told you my pitch about like why I thought that this mattered. And then you got to see that I'm a little science brain nerd, and it was fun.
You talk about auditions?
I'll let you tell that, but what I meant was the first table read.
Oh, you had more than one line, girl.
Did I?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
But I know what you mean.
Yeah.
You had a smaller part than I think you thought you were going to have, right?
Oh, yeah.
So Kate came in. You didn't you audition with Satan?
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I thought was like, oh, this little girl over here wants to be Satan, and I'm always down to like mix things up.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the strongest audition, I will say.
It was bad. You can say it.
What year were you in grad school?
It was my first year, I think. Wasn't it? Yeah.
Holy
first
cow.
year.
So yeah, you were just, starting out too.
Yeah.
But I saw the spunk in you. And also I think the choice for that showed me, oh, she wants to play something different. Mm-hmm. And I cast you as 3 different roles in the show.
Well, at first it was, I forget her name, the sick lady and soldier number 2.
And then you were a saint.
And then that got added later.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, because by the end I had 5.
Oh, shit. Sorry. I swear.
You can say it. Do it.
Oh, shit. I forgot.
Yeah, no, because when I first came in, I think I'm right. I think it was one line.
Oh my
God.
Then
after, you just kept giving me more and more parts. And it was the biggest blessing ever, because no one ever listened to me when I said I am a character actor.
And they're like, oh, this chick is funny.
Because like every single time I would say that, they're like, you're not. And I'm like, I grew up on the Three Stooges. I am.
Well, I think it's a little stereotyping. I think it's you see a pretty girl and you're like, oh, she's an ingenue.
Yeah.
And, she's going to play the love interest, but you're actually kind of like a, What's David Sedaris' sister's name?
Oh,
Amy.
Amy Sedaris.
Who's a chameleon.
Yeah.
I kind of see you as like an Amy Sedaris.
I would love to have those opportunities.
Like, think about, what's that show? The one where she plays a student. Like, you could do that.
Oh, I could totally do that. And have so much fun.
Yeah. See,
Yeah, you saw. But no, I mean, being seen, though, it's such a gift to give to people, because it's like when you allow other people's space to authentically be themselves, they're going to give you more to work with.
Totally.
And you did that immediately up front. And it just was, I remember that, and I refer to that a lot in my brain when I'm thinking about who I am and how I want to show up. And it's a hard like line to sort of straddle between, it's like, you don't want it to be like a manipulative thing, right? Like how I show up. But it's like, no, I really want you to see who I am, because then you're going to know what to do with me.
This is true, but I think it's also a testament to you as an actor, because people say that, but then they don't do it.
No. Well, it's exhausting.
I've gotten pushback from pushing an actor. It was very recently, actually, where I was asking this person to act. Funny, was their job. And and it was, leave me alone. Let me do my thing. And it's like, well, this is a collaboration.
Yeah.
And it's fear talking. It's fear of not wanting to step out of the box, of not wanting to show up in a different way that is uncomfortable. And you were just like doing whatever, even if it was weird, you know, because we were just playing.
We were just playing around.
I was like, what about this? What about that? And you were like, rah, rah, rah. And I was having a ball.
Yeah.
And it just grew and it grew and it grew. And then we were like, oh, we really like working with each other.
Yeah. And then we just stayed in each other's orbits.
We stayed friends, yeah.
Yeah. I clicked with you pretty quickly too. And what you were just saying now about the fear when there's pushback, I've tried to rewire my brain very actively and mindfully the past couple of years, that when that thing comes up, because that happens, someone gives me a suggestion and I clam up and I go, and I just think, I don't want to fucking do that. But then it's like, I always have to, now I just like take a second and I'm like, why are we feeling like that, Kate? Why are we feeling like that? Are we feeling a little insecure? Yeah. Do we genuinely not want to do that because we don't feel safe? Like what is it? And to reapproach it. And it's like a slow process. And I'm sure there's some situation where someone's like, why is Kate so slow? Because normally I'm like, bam, 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 bam. I'm like, no, I'm processing and thinking about it. Because like, I don't want to feel that resistance when you say, hey, try this.
Yeah.
I want to instead be like, oh, that sounds exciting. Like, let's try it. Because if it's bad, it's bad and no one wants to look bad. So if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But why not just try it? Yeah,
there's also a trust that has to be there.
Yeah.
Of like, oh, you're asking me to do something that is unfamiliar, but I'm trusting that you're giving me something that is not going to make me look bad or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's the art of collaboration.
No, it is. But that's interesting about like trust, because if you kind of create your own bubble of trust that's relative to you, and you trust that you're always going to keep yourself in that bubble, then you can go into a room, even with a bunch of people you don't know, and still show up as the best version of yourself and explore and do all those things.
Yeah, I think of it too, and when we think about producing organizations, theaters, production companies, it's like, because I'm supposed to take care of the actors, but who's taking care of me?
Yeah.
And I'm finding that is a shift that is happening a little slower these days.
What does it look like with it shifting?
What should it look like?
Oh, what does it and what should it look like? Because I've never thought about that.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know you're the captain of the ship.
I think it's an example of as a producer, have to be provided all the tools for success. And sometimes we're not. And when we're not, it all falls to us ultimately. So then I'm having to do extra work and labor, whether it's emotional or physical or monetary, to make up for those deficits. And actors sometimes don't realize that.
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, you're stressed, but I'm really stressed, but I can't show you my stress. I don't often talk about it, but it is really hard. And I think that comes with the part of the fatigue and burnout I'm talking about. Like some of the best producing companies make my job easier And that's really what it is.
Well, they're set up for success.
Yeah. So that I can really be there for my actors and my designers and my company and show up to the best of my ability. It all comes from the top down, and it's like those steps of creativity. They often have to happen like months away.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you were my producer,
Mm-hmm.
and you were on it. Like you were constantly, providing us information that we needed in advance. And I remember us talking about how sad it was to hear the team, how they weren't used to that.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean.
Yeah, because that's what makes most sense to me. And I think that's because we are people first. Also, it's because we come from theater. And
yeah, but a lot of the examples I'm thinking of are theater.
No. But the people of theater, the joy, like fun of theater, it's like at the foundation, yes. When they expand more and become like commercialized or whatever, that's when I start to hear like the horror stories about like why it's not in place and why it's not like a people first moment.
Yeah, and I'm a little scared about commercial in that because of that. Because I'm noticing the more commercial it gets, the more care is subtracted from the equation because there's so much money on the line. Like it's a little, and when you say like, I'm thinking of the word cutthroat, but I can't think of a better word for it. Mm-hmm. But it's like, oh, we don't care about your feelings. We don't care about what kind of,
yeah.
And I'm the same way. It's like, if you're having a bad day, you can't bring that into work with you. But ultimately, yeah, we are humans. So there should be a little give. But what does that mean? It's an ever evolving thing that I'm discovering.
So what does that look like for you in your practice of it, of taking care of yourself and giving yourself the support you need? And what does it look like in terms of a theater house providing it for you? It's already in place.
I think for me, it's speaking up more. But I've been doing that all my life, and then I feel like sometimes I'm punished for it. So it's just, and it's how much you have to not speaking up within reason, being reasonable. Because there's a lot of people right now who are incredibly unreasonable in their demands. So it's the balance of that. But like an example is me asking for 2 weeks off.
Was that just like chaos?
No, it wasn't.
Oh,
and
that's beautiful.
That was the beautiful. Well, it was me being afraid to ask. And that was just my own stuff. Because I feel like I have to work all the time.
I was just going to say, that's why you work all the time. Because you feel like you can't take a break. Because that and I can only imagine, because I remember that, even though we have an age difference, I can only imagine how much harder it was driven home on you, especially in undergrad and grad school.
Oh, yeah.
Because I felt it. And those were things that I rejected, where I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, actually, it doesn't have to be like that. And I am going to take time off. But it wasn't until I started dating someone outside of the arts that got reinforced. Because I would wake up at 5:30 on a weekend and start working.
Yep.
And he's like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
and I'm like, what? It's Saturday. And he's like, yeah, it's Saturday. And so it's like, if you don't have that voice in yourself or someone else outside of you having you do that, it actually is quite hard when you're in the bubble of it to not fall into that trap of constantly working.
Yeah.
But then, like, is that putting your best work forward all the time? Like, maybe if the version of you who had 2 to 4 weeks off every single year, she does do Broadway because she takes care of herself too.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. I think it's speaking your needs and what you need.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, it's showing up for your artists. And at the same time, because the humans are the ones, running the theater, they also have to be like, okay, let's make the schedule in a way that's not burning out the staff.
That it's for the humans.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the other thing. If it's run by humans, and theaters, everyone knows it is made by humans and magic and creativity.
Yeah.
Right? Then it has to be built to sustain those things. And we need breaks. We need to take breaks.
But then if you have to take a break, then you better show up and like do the work that you're asked to do,
Oh, 100%.
I work with this amazing fight coordinator a lot who's based in LA but comes to New York a lot. And they told an actor once who was like, I feel unsafe. Like, what's unsafe? Well, the work. Yeah, work is hard.
Ooh.
That's what they said. And I was like, oh, okay. Because they're right.
Yeah. I mean, work is hard, but also work can be safe and hard at the same time.
Exactly. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So I think it's an interesting time we're in, where the overcorrecting from COVID happened, but now we're kind of going back. But it's like, okay, let's find a sweet spot.
I think that comes with the trust of hiring a team that you really feel secure about, because when you do take the 2 weeks off, I need you to take those 2 weeks off because I need you to be present when you come back.
Exactly.
And I think that's the perfect balance.
Exactly.
But that's what we did.
We did.
Thank you. So I can't believe how fast this went.
Yeah, really.
I know. Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh my gosh, thanks for having me.
You're amazing. Melissa and I have other things coming up.
We do.
We just can't tell you about them yet. We have things in the works.
We do. I'm excited.
Me too. Okay. Thank you.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah. That was perfect.
Wow.
Oh my God.
That was fun.
And that's the latest. I'm honored to have been part of your thinking sphere today. Feel free to share, like, and subscribe on this platform, or follow and participate on any of my social media platforms. If this practice intrigues you as much as it does me, then join us in the Me3 community, where we will work directly and you'll curate a mindful method of thinking to define your own creative conscious. Thanks for listening to the latest episode of Authenticated. I love that you're here.